PlayStation put out this news. Like, the whole thing is insane. I'll get to it. But long story short, they announced that they're planning on getting rid of physical media. They want to get rid of discs. They don't want to make discs for games anymore in the next 2 years. I think they said 2028. I think there's a lot of aspects to this that whenever you take it at face value, it's just not super apparent until you really think about it some more and kind of the downstream effects of what's going to happen. Here's the tweet. PlayStation put this out. News on physical discs for new games, and then news on PlayStation Store. So go ahead and click on that. Physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. Consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital. Physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. This is a natural direction for Sony, Interactive, whatever, to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This is true. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. But that's not all. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation in how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games. Whether that's at retailers or PlayStation Store, we remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for your continued support. Did you like this? So one of the main things I've seen on Twitter with this news is, this is stupid, I hate this. And sure, like, those are all like valid things to feel, but one of the main things that I notice is people talk about like, oh, well, I'm a collector. I like to collect all my discs and whatever, and I like to have all my own old games on the shelf, and I like to have all my stuff there, and I think that's fair. I think that's valid. Even if it's like a minority of people, I think that's totally fair. In fact, I mean, I have like boxes of games in my shelves here, right? Like, as I pull out my PlayStation 1 from Japan in here, Bonnie got this for me for Christmas or something. But yeah, like, I mean, I have like games, I have all kinds of stuff, right? So this is cool, you know, and why do I have a lot of this stuff? Some of this stuff is mine that, you know, I grew up with. A lot of this stuff I bought at a reseller. Like, I bought it at a game store, at a used game store. This has like some downstream effects. They basically want to monopolize where the games are coming from. If they say we're going to switch to digital purchases, this isn't going to be an overnight thing. The change will be an overnight thing by January 2028. But over time, this impacts a lot of businesses, and PlayStation's not the only one that's going to be doing this. Xbox is going to do this. In fact, they tried to do this like over 10 years ago, back whenever they came out with the Xbox One, whenever they came out with the PS4. I'm pretty sure, now somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if I remember, there was a leak that PlayStation might be doing this, and then Xbox tried to beat PlayStation to the punch, and they announced that they're gonna not have a disc drive in their console, and they got a ton of hate for it. And then Sony came out and they were like, oh, don't worry, the PlayStation 4 will absolutely have a disc drive. Like a week later, official PlayStation used game instructional video.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Oh man, that's so funny. Dude, how times have changed. How times have changed. You're right, actually, here's the article. Yeah, so look at this. So this is something that happened in 2012, right? Over 10 years ago. Source says Microsoft's forthcoming console to ditch optical drive in favor of an interchangeable solid state card storage, and it'll ship in 2013. That's kind of the whole story about how this happened. Like, Microsoft did it, and a lot of people were really upset about this. Now, that was 10 years ago, and times change. And to kind of like recalibrate and to kind of get back on track with this whole thing, I'm going to lay out a lot of different things here. The first of which is that whenever you make a decision like this, it's not for the collectors, right? And a lot of the people that are going to be the most upset about this is like, oh no, I'm a collector, and you know, I lose my disc, and that's something cool, and that's something enjoyable, and that's a cool hobby to have, right? It's not about them just like losing this box to their game. It's more so about how the physical object existing, the physical game existing. We saw something where it's like, how do you share your game? It's not just sharing a game with your friends. That physical game acts as a balance to keep the prices in check. Because if I buy Metal Gear Solid 4, okay? If I buy a game, I buy Metal Gear Solid 4, which I got at Hood Games and Things for $4.95. Yeah, so if I buy this, what happens? This game exists, it's in my hand, I own a copy of this game, and then once I'm done playing this game, I can keep it, it can go in my closet, I can scratch the disc and then have to buy a new one, whatever, right? I can go to a GameStop or I can go to Hood's Games and Things, and I can sell the game, be like, hey, can I give this to you guys? And yeah, we'll give you $2 for it. And then they sell it for $5. Because this physical copy of this thing exists, it contributes to the equation of supply and demand. Whenever you sell digital copies of games, you have an infinite supply. You can download as much as you want. You don't run out of downloads. The concept of supply and demand is as there's more supply, then the demand is not as big of a deal and you can have prices go down. That's the concept of supply and demand. But there's an additional part to this in that the supply isn't real. So it doesn't work like a traditional supply and demand scenario. Because I'm digitally downloading a game that is on my account, it's actually contributing to the scarcity of that game as opposed to there being an infinite supply from downloads. Because whenever somebody pays for that download is now gone, it is locked to an account, and there's no way to resell it, there's no way to trade it, there's no way to do anything like that. So this in turn monopolizes and lets them set the price for their game, whatever it is, forever. This Metal Gear Solid 4 for the PS3 that I have, Greatest Hits Edition, I got for $4.95 used. 10 years from now, I will not be able to do this with Death Stranding 5 or whatever, or Madden, 2030. I will have to only go buy the game online. And because of this, because I can't get a used copy of the game for like $5 after it's like 10 years old or whatever, I will have to pay maybe the game won't be $60, $70. Maybe it'll be at a discount, right? Maybe it'll be half off, but it just contributes to them being able to set these prices to whatever they want. And there's no challenge. There's no challenge. They say they're going to provide it to retailers, but at the same time, the game is still coming from whatever the publisher has it at. And especially if you kind of have the Steam thing going on where Steam is kind of acting as a monopoly. It's not exactly a monopoly, but it's just so big, just so powerful that it kind of is. You have to put your games on Steam. You don't have to put your games on Epic Games. So even if you don't buy games physical, which is something that I don't really buy physical games. I'm holding this here, right? If I want to play a game, I go on Steam. I go on the store and I'll download it. I don't have to worry about discs. I don't have to stand up and just spend all that energy walking over to the console. So it's not really it's not something that personally impacts my day-to-day as a gamer, but it is something that does impact the economy as a gamer for everybody. And that's really where this comes from. This has happened because so many of us don't buy the discs anymore. I prefer digital, never have to worry about disc going bad or losing it. So do I. That's the thing. But it's literally our fault. That's what I'm saying. It's literally our fault that this is happening. And that might kind of be the unpopular opinion about this because people are so upset about it is, oh, well, nobody is buying games anymore. Nobody, quote. Such a small percentage of the player base is buying physical copies of the game anyway when they don't have to go to the store, get the thing, check out, whatever. Or even why would I buy a disc on Amazon and have it come the next day when I can just click, 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 boom, download the game. The ease of access is something that has allowed this to happen over time because now Sony and the companies say, okay, well, we don't make physical discs, so it's not going to cost us as much. We're going green by not making discs. But it does have downstream effects on the economy because getting rid of the reseller market, first off, it impacts a ton of businesses because the reseller market is going to be gone. No one cares about GameStop. It's not about GameStop. It's about Hood's Games and Things. It's about the local businesses. And look, GameStop is going to be fine. At the end of the day, some crypto bros are going to make a Reddit thread and just meme GameStop stock up super high and pump and dump it. Okay, at the end of the day, nobody needs to worry about GameStop. They'll be okay. I'm talking about I'm talking about the local businesses. Now, there's a whole nother part of this, right? It's not just about keeping prices down. It's not just about free market. It's not just about the monopoly. It's about just straight up ownership, bro. Earlier this week, Sony made an announcement, PlayStation made an announcement that they're getting rid of movies. Earlier this week, Sony is contacting PlayStation Store users who bought movies from the platform that were distributed by Studio Canal, like Terminator 2, Total Recall. Oh my gosh, Arnold, how could you have done this to us? Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, to say that you will no longer be able to access your previously purchased content from Studio Canal. And it'll be removed from your video library. There's no mention of any refunds or make goods for the affected users. Sony simply says the films are going away due to our content licensing agreements. And once again, reaffirming the fact that you are never truly buying anything that's digital, just temporarily renting it. And that's really the crux of the issue. Whenever you are downloading something, do you really own it? and the protections and the laws are not there to protect a youth. Like, this would be less of an issue for a lot of people if there were protections in place, if there were laws in place to protect the consumer. When they purchase something, it is theirs. They have it. And this isn't just going to be a Sony thing. Nintendo's kind of been already doing this. Everybody is going to do this. And there's a whole like doomsday scenario about this entire situation that we can just get to, that I will get to in just a minute, okay? I mean, how many of you guys have not physically bought a game that you can remember in years? I'm one of them. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Last game that I bought physical was Demon's Souls on PS5 launch. Actually, I think that was me too. Literally the exact same game. I bought physical Switch games for my kids. Oh, look at me, dude. I'm so freaking cool. I have a family, I have kids that love me because I buy them video games, dude. I'm so freaking popular and famous, dude. Freaking Buffy, dude. You gotta be kidding me, dude. So I think for me, that's what it was too. And you know, this is like, I guess, a little bit of a pro-digital argument, but like I said, it's not just about this. Like obviously, you know, you save physical space in your house, you save time, you don't have to swap the discs, you can download it anytime, whatever. Now there's pros and cons to that. Like you have to have good internet, you have to have all this stuff. I mean, hell, half the time, if you buy a game these days, you have to like put the game in and you still have to download and install stuff on top of that. So it makes sense that most people want to buy digital copies of the game. That totally makes sense, right? But because of the other issues that affect the entire economy and like I said, the monopolization of not having resellers, not having that disc still exist, because when this disc exists and somebody can go to the store and buy Metal Gear Solid 4 for $5, I might still provide the download online. I mean, I think Metal Gear Solid 4 actually comes out for the PS5 later this year. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's a remaster or what, but that keeps the price in check. Like, I don't know what they're gonna release it for on the PS5, but the existence of this thing will keep the price in check whenever resellers do exist for like, this is kind of a bad example because it's such an old game, but my point still stands because I might go buy, you know, we talked about Demon's Souls for the PS5. Demon's Souls for the PS5 might go down in price a little bit because it's over time that somebody might not buy the game at full price, but I'll try out Demon's Souls. It's on sale for $20, but maybe I can go to the store and I can get Demon's Souls for $10 now. Well, if you can download it for $10 or buy it for $10 at the store used, I don't know. Maybe I would still download it. Maybe I would go buy it at the store. It comes down to preference. It comes down to budget. It comes down to a lot of, you know, personal factors. But maybe they don't have to take the price down to $20 because they don't have to worry about resellers. They don't have to say that, hey, somebody else bought this game and they're going to resell it. So maybe instead of down to $20, it goes down to $30. Maybe it doesn't come down at all. And that's what is such a big deal for so many people, is because this balances the economy and keeps everything in check. And I think a lot of people are missing the mark on this. And when they're talking about this, they're talking about things that don't affect everybody. These things will affect everybody, even as somebody like me who is a digital consumer of like a digital media consumer versus a physical media consumer mostly. Also, Esfand, some families can't afford new games and they rely on used games or deals from shops. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about whenever I said like there's a lot of personal parts to this, you know? Couple that with the fact that you don't actually own it. Sony is getting rid of the licensing for some of this stuff. So now if you bought Terminator 2 on the PlayStation Store or Total Recall, the movies, okay, well, sorry you bought that for however many years ago. Our licensing agreement ran out and it is now gone. And people are not really made aware of this. Now, maybe in the fine print of the EULA or wherever else, maybe in the fine print it was there the whole time, but people are not led to believe that that is what is happening whenever they go to the store and they click buy or rent on YouTube, right? On YouTube, you know how you can like rent movies on YouTube or you can buy the movies on YouTube? I bet it's the same thing. I bet there's a licensing agreement for like 10 years. In Grand Theft Auto, I'm gonna recall a story from a few years back. I believe it was Grand Theft Auto Vice City or San Andreas had a licensing agreement for the music used in the game, a lot of the music. Whenever they did the re-release of the games, they did like a remaster, like HD edition of like San Andreas and Vice City and stuff a few years back. A lot of the original songs were not in the game because the licensing agreement that they had didn't last. So you still needed to play the game on the original disc to have a lot of those same songs. It was Vice City. Same thing happened with GTA 5. Had to change a bunch of music and they all have. Because of that, because the games are online as well. So this is another side point. I'm pretty sure if I play GTA 5 right now on Steam, I'm gonna be missing a lot of music. Because of their licensing agreement, they legally have to go and they have to remove those songs from a lot of the radio stations. Whereas if I played Xbox 360 version, that's an insane side point, by the way. These guys milk the game on like 3 different consoles, 3 different generations. But if I played the Xbox 360 360 or maybe the Xbox One version, I'll have different music because I'll have it on the disc originally. There's no real thing anymore as ownership of any digital property. We should come up with a system, maybe like tokens that are non-fungible. Non-fungible tokens. That's what a lot of people don't realize about this stuff. And I wish more people would make this point that affects everybody as opposed to people that are just affected by it directly. Even us as digital media consumers versus physical media consumers, we are going to be affected by this negatively. And that price competition, whether it's from resellers, whether it's from retail, like first party retailers. I mean, I call them first party, even though technically I guess they're not. But like, let's say you go to like a Best Buy or a Walmart, or they'll have sales, they'll have different things going on. It's Black Friday. All that's gonna be gone. The storefronts, they're all gonna get effed.
Man, it's a good thing personal computer prices are so reasonable right now. Glad all of these disenfranchised PlayStation owners will just be able to easily switch to PC gaming.
Okay, look, this is a good segue, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this now. This leads to my conspiracy theory about gaming in the future and this freaking post-apocalyptic freaking cyberpunk world that's coming in the next like 20, 30 years. Years ago, cloud gaming started being a thing. It didn't really hit at the time. There was a little bit of delay, a little laggy, whatever. I mean, Nvidia had something, I think it was Shadow. Cloud gaming, they tried to make it a thing, but it was kind of ahead of its time. And there's still like, you can now stream your games, right? Like game streaming from your Steam to your Steam Deck or to another PC or like the PS5 on the handheld PS5 thing. This is what I think is happening. As the cost of PC parts are going up, the cost of hardware is just going up and up and up and up to the point where for the average person, it's going to become unattainable. And look, this isn't gonna happen next year. It might not happen in 5, 10 years even, but this is my freaking doomsday scenario. Internet speeds are gonna go up. You know, people are gonna start getting like 10 gigabit internet. But the cost of RAM and this and that, whatever, everything that's hardware, too expensive, okay? People aren't gonna have it. Instead, what people are gonna have at home, they're gonna have clients, okay? They're gonna have clients. It'll be like a little box or something that they can have their like giga high speed, their 20 gigabit internet that they're gonna be able to tap into and to get like almost zero latency gaming, and everything is gonna be on the cloud and everything is gonna be subscription based. And they're like, oh, you can play your games anywhere. You can play on your phone, you can play on your refrigerator, you can play on your client. And nobody's gonna own anything. Everything is gonna be subscription based and just nickel and dime, dude, nickel and dime the whole way through. And nobody is gonna actually have anything of their own. This is the freaking doomsday scenario, and they're working us towards it, dude. As the cost of hardware, the freaking data centers get bigger and bigger, I'm telling you, it's coming. In 30 years, I'm gonna be sitting there like an old man making my YouTube videos, and I'll be on stream, freaking shaking my cane at the clouds. It's coming. Game companies are furiously taking notes right now. I actually think this is the thing I'm scared of. I actually think this is what I'm worried about. And I think it's gonna be so ass. It's gonna be so terrible. It starts with one step of it, because it didn't start with this, but one step of it is getting rid of physical media. Because it's just gonna make it easier and easier and easier to do this kind of stuff. So at what point, where does the line stop? I mean, hell, they tried to get rid of cable TV only to give us the channels that you were paying a subscription. You would buy cable TV and it was a whole package of channels that you were paying a subscription for. People were like, well, I don't watch the news. I don't watch HBO. I don't watch Cinemax. Well, I'm not gonna pay for that. I'm not gonna pay for that. So I'm just gonna pay for Netflix. I'm just gonna pay for this thing. I'm gonna pay for that thing. Wait. I'm paying for everything. And I'm paying way more than I used to. You have your Peacock, you have your Netflix, you have your freaking HBO Max, you know what I mean? And then what does this lead to? Eventually, the dam caves in, the dam gives out, and people are paying for too many things. I want to pay for something. I want to pay for something, and I want that service. I want that thing that I paid for, and I want it to be easy to use, easy to access, and I just want to have it. I support this product. I support this company. I want to pay for this. And I remember the first time I felt like this. You guys are gonna laugh. I played League of Legends. Before League of Legends. I played WoW, and I paid $15 a month for WoW in 2004. And by that, I mean, I would not get popcorn. I would not get a drink at the movies. Whenever I would get a little allowance to go to the movies with my friends, I would keep a few dollars here and there. And then I would stack it up, and then I'd go buy a WoW game card. That's what I would do, okay? So that I could play WoW with my 60-day game cards. I would pay money to, $15 a month to go be able to play WoW, which is actually kind of crazy that like WoW still costs the same amount monthly after all these years. Don't tell Blizzard. But that's what I would do. Then I start playing League of Legends. When I started playing League of Legends, I was playing it for a little bit. I was trying it out. And then I remember I was getting close to level 30, I think. I don't think I had hit level 30 yet. And here I am playing AD Ezreal mid. And I'm thinking to myself, am I a leech? Dude, I'm playing this game all day, every day. And I used to pay money to play WoW. I'm not paying any money for this. And I felt like a leech. So I started buying skins. I literally started buying skins because I felt like a bad person because I was like, I'm gaining so much entertainment from this. And this is like, I want to support this game. They need to make money for this. So I've started buying skins. And I swear to God, I had this feeling in college. I do think there are people out there who think like this. For example, people are going to do whatever they think is easier, okay? And this is the more balanced sort of feeling of this. And I'm gonna use Spotify. I mentioned Kazaa and LimeWire and Napster or whatever earlier. Spotify provided an easier way for me to have my music and listen to my music and do all these things by going out and getting licensing from all these people to, hey, like, you know, pay us a fee, whatever. And I feel like the piracy of music, because everything is so easy now and just the way music is consumed, and it doesn't really work like games exactly, but now they've tried this with the Game Pass and whatnot, but it kind of like, I feel like the piracy of music is not really there. The piracy of music now is just nothing. It's peanuts compared to what it was like 20 or 30 years ago. But the piracy of sports events, you know, on all their different subscription services. Games have done things to try and like keep their games from getting pirated, but people are always gonna find different channels of being able to pirate or torrent or this or that. And that's where a lot of my concern comes in. I think the dam breaks, to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, the dam breaks, and instead of making something so easy for people to consume and spend their money on and to have like the best solution, something that they pay for, they might be like, damn, I'm just gonna pirate this shit. It's just something that is a major problem. That if you don't make something easy, if you don't give the best option, people are gonna go out and they're gonna find the best option. Whatever it is. Spotify is a really good example of the best option for the consumer for a lot of, and you know, there's other services, right? But I'm just using Spotify as an example. These are the things that you lose with the loss of physical media. Resale market of buying used games, which can happen in any way, right? Like let's say you don't like the game. Let's say you beat the game and you're just not gonna play it anymore, right? Some people wanna replay games, some people don't. You lose, hey, you wanna borrow my copy of Star Fox 64? We used to do that. Hey, can I borrow? I used to do that with my friends all the time in elementary school. Like, hey, can I borrow Star Fox and I'll let you borrow Super Smash Brothers? Hell, actually, if you buy somebody a game as a gift, like let's say you wanna get, hey, I wanna buy you this as a gift for Christmas. You just give them a code. I mean, you can do that now. Like you add them as a friend on Steam. It's like less special or whatever. So that's not really like something that's completely gone. Wait, you had the freedom to lend someone a game that you paid for? Hold on. My parents paid for it, okay? But yes, going to a midnight launch, right? We went to the Nintendo Switch 2 midnight launch in Spain last year. That was cool. Midnight launches are cool. It's a cool event. Like I remember being so excited to stream a midnight launch. Now it was kind of scuffed. We literally got off the plane and went to a midnight launch, and like half the people there didn't speak English, but it was a very cool experience. I say half, most of the people didn't speak English, but it was such a cool experience, man. You know, for the collectors, right? Having your games on your shelf. It's like these are like also a form of decoration for a lot of people. And that kind of stuff makes people happy, right? I've gone back and I've watched videos of news stories at midnight release at TBC. I've watched videos of the midnight release of like Halo 3, stuff like that. Like that is amazing. It is incredible, right? And yeah, like it's definitely like a little bit of a nostalgia thing, but if you weren't around back then and you go, like I've shown that video, and I know that there's people that were like, that are younger right now watching this, that go and see videos of this, right? But like whenever you look at these things and you weren't around for that, you weren't alive back then, people see that and they're like, damn, I wish I could have experienced that. If a digital game is going to replace physical ownership, then there needs to be laws, there needs to be something in place that protects the digital consumer, okay? Something needs to change at some point. Now, the problem is a lot of like lawmakers and stuff are kind of, there's two problems. One, they're out of touch and they might not understand like where we're coming from in our generation and our interest in what we do. The other part of it is somebody's paying these guys, you know? Somebody's paying these guys. and it's like, is anybody gonna get it fixed? The people that are paying these guys, it's not in their interest, because the people who are paying these guys, the people that it's in their interest for these things not to happen. And yeah, money talks. They're essentially monopolizing all of the financial advantages of a digital distribution plan. The consumer gets hit with all the disadvantages in the current state of things. Like they need to have some sort of guaranteed preservation of your purchase, for one. And like I said, even though this doesn't fix all the problems, if I buy something, I need to buy it. It is not a lease. It is not something that I'm borrowing. It is not something that there's a licensing agreement that can end. I bought that game. I have the version of this game that I bought on this date, and it is mine. You need to be able to have that. You need to not have to be online to play a game. And I think this is related to Stop Killing Games, where like, oh, you bought a game, but then the servers for the game go down, you can't play anymore. I think that's related a little bit to the Stop Killing Games stuff, but I don't want to talk about Stop Killing Games because I don't know enough about all parts of it. But yeah, absolutely, that's something that sucks. Now, there's problems with this because anytime there's things that are put in place, there's laws put in place to do these things. Well, big publisher comes in, the big companies come in and they're like, okay, how do we mitigate the amount of cost that we now have to incur for this? Okay, if I buy a game, do I have to have on our servers version 1.07 of the game? Oh, there's a new patch for the game. When they buy the game, do they buy that patch? Oh, with the new patch, we don't have licensing for that music. So if you download the new patch and you update your game to that patch, can you downscale it and get another patch? Do you have to have every single patch available for download? And if they purchase something, they get any patch of that game that they want. Oh, well, what if we have a game-breaking bug, and that game-breaking bug is something that we have to patch because people are now taking advantages. Like, there's actually so many, like my brain is overheating even thinking about all the potential problems that this could cause. So there really has to be like a sort of turnkey solution to hit on all of these major points. They need to have it to where you could transfer the license of a game, right? Not only like game lending. I think game lending is a thing. Switch 2 has game lending. I think this is something that needs to be a thing. Like, if it's not a thing for all consoles, for all whatever, you need to be able to say like, hey, I want to lend this game to my friend, and I can lend this game to my friend, and then anytime I want to pull the game and play the game myself, I can pull it from my friend. Now, the publisher is like, oh, okay, so these sons of bitches, here's what they're doing. They're going to go and they're going to lend the game, and they're just going to it's one person is going to buy the game and they're going to play it on the other side of the world while this person is asleep, and they're going to trade it back and forth. It's insane. There's some methods for this right now. There's like the console sharing stuff that you can do, the Steam family, stuff like that. But I think this is something that should be mandated. Like, it should have to be a thing. I also think, now this is a really big one, because they're not going to do this on their own. This is probably going to have to take a lawmaker. Laws are going to have to get changed. If you purchase a game, you should have a license for that game that you can then give to somebody else. I should be able to go into my PlayStation library, click on a game, and I should be able to go to like more info, and I should have a game key for that game. And there should be a button that you say like release game key, and when you release it, it's pulled from your account, but that key is still active. I can then give that key to a friend, to somebody else, and I can give them the game. I can sell them the game. They would never do this on their own. This is something that is probably going to have to take legal action. But that is like the one solution that I'm kind of thinking of now. Correct, a lot of the nuanced stuff will require legislation because companies just aren't going to do it because it is not in their best interest. That is something that is in the consumer's best interest. It doesn't fix all the problems, but it fixes the problem that affects everybody. And that's whenever you get rid of the reseller market, you're affecting the balance of pricing and keeping everything going there. If I were still a console gamer, I still use older cases to have optical drives on my newer builds. Dude, you know what? You want me to keep it real? If you're talking about the games, and you're talking about freaking scamming consumers, this might be unpopular. The making consoles, this is what they should do. They should make consoles only have optical drives. Or sorry, only have like a disc drive. You don't make the digital only version, and they just scam people on that. If you really want to scam people, just scam people on having only the CD drive version or the disc drive version. That's how you scam them. Because if 85% of the people are not buying physical games, they're never gonna use it. Hold on, what is this? Sony seems to be testing dynamic pricing for digital games, but you shouldn't start panicking yet. Guess the price. Sony and its new release strategy, which reportedly involves skipping PC releases for its biggest blockbusters moving forward, is the talk of the town right now. But in the shadows, more changes appear to be taking place. First noticed by price sales tracking site PS Prices, it seems that Sony is testing a large A/B price experiment. According to the specialized site, the same games are shown to different users at different prices. Wait, I totally missed this news. What? Do you guys know about this? Over 150 titles in 68 regions have been reported as experiencing this dynamic pricing, and it appears the test has been running for over 3 months. PS Prices report this has been happening since November and isn't limited only to Sony's AAA titles. It's also been affecting third-party releases. Users are randomly placed in control or test groups and see different prices for different games. These new prices are tied to IPT Pilot, and IPT OPR testing programs that are, dude, this sounds like a freaking conspiracy theory, that were detected by the sites as unusual offer structures in PlayStation API responses. PS Press is choosing to label the prices affected as experiment for now. Major examples include Marvel Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok surprisingly going down to $69.99, its usual price of $79.99. That's a minus 12.5% difference that's close to the changes found across the board. In some third-party cases, the gaps are wider. WWE 2K5, Warhammer Space Marine 2 have seen 17.6 and 16.6% price reductions, respectively. At the time of writing, this dynamic pricing experiment only appears to be bringing down the prices in some regions, but one can see how they could also go up depending on a variety of factors and market conditions. The lack of transparency is the most worrying sign here. The US and Japan still do not participate, likely due to stricter regulation and higher market sensitivity. Sony has yet to comment, but it sets a weird precedent. If one person spends the full amount of cash on God of War, but you learn that someone else has paid 18% less, it's going to draw ire. So far, we've not seen prices go up, but you can absolutely imagine the controversy if that were to happen. Sony's gonna use AI to make you pay as much as you possibly are willing to pay for games. What? What? The conspiracy theory is born. What? They're gonna use AI to make you pay as much as you're willing to pay for something. They're trying to turn the frogs gay. That's what's happening. Oh my gosh. Now, I don't know if it's gonna be that bad, but it is kind of like, wait a second, what's going on here? You gotta check Kojima's tweet. Eventually, even digital data will no longer be owned by individuals on their own initiative. Whenever there is a major change or accident in the world, in a country, in a government, in an idea, in a trend, access to it may suddenly be cut off. We will not be able to freely access the movies, the books, the music that we have loved. I would be a have-not. That's what I'm afraid of. This is not greed. Yeah, I mean, he's right. He's right. I mean, essentially, it's like you never really own anything. And I think that's what that's really what people are worried about. They're worried about not ever actually owning anything. They're worried about the pricing, and they're worried about the costs, and the fact that essentially you're enabling a monopoly to occur. But I just think a lot of people aren't really going to see it that deep. And I mean, even tell me yourselves, just talking about all these things or thinking about all these things now, are there any of you that, like, again, you're like a primarily digital media consumer like myself, that we're kind of like, whatever, whenever this news broke. But then now, after kind of thinking through everything and talking about anything, are you like, wait a second, maybe this does actually affect me, even though it's not something that directly affects me, it does indirectly affect me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is this something you care about? Is this something you don't care about? Like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, all this stuff. Whatever it is, everything is EsfandTV. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.